And as reactions continue to trail the U.S. action in Venezuela, Iran has called for the immediate release of ousted President Nicolás Maduro following his capture in that operation and transferred to New York to face trial. Tehran describes the action as unlawful and says detaining a sitting president and his wife violates international norms, reiterating its support for the Venezuelan people. China has also condemned the operation, accusing Washington of using force against a sovereign state and undermining international law. Maduro, a close ally of both Iran and China, was seized in Caracas days ago. He has flown under heavy security to the United States and transported in an armored vehicle to a New York courthouse. The development has intensified global criticisms of U.S. actions and heightened diplomatic tensions. Meanwhile, Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, has announced the creation of a special commission aimed at securing the release of former leader Maduro and his wife. The pair were captured by the U.S. Special Forces and taken to the United States. The decision was made public on Sunday by Venezuela's communication minister, Freddy Nanez, during a broadcast on state television.
Comisiones. La primera es la comisión de alto nivel para la liberación del presidente Nicolás Maduro Moros y de la primera dama y primera combatiente Cilia Flores de Maduro. Esta comisión de alto nivel estará presidida por el doctor Jorge Rodríguez Gómez, presidente de la Asamblea Nacional y jefe del Diálogo y la Paz de Venezuela, por nuestro canciller Iván Gil, por la compañera Camila.
In the meantime, China urged the United States to immediately free Nicolás Maduro and his wife after the U.S. strike. The Chinese Foreign Ministry labeled the operation a violation of international law and an effort to topple Venezuela's government. The demand underscores escalating friction between Beijing and Washington over Latin American influence.
我们从不认为哪一个国家可以充当国际警察，我们也不认同哪一个国家可以自诩为国际法官。各国的主权和安全都应当受到国际法的充分保护。我们一贯反对在国际关系中使用或威胁使用武力，反对将一国的意志强加于别国。中方愿意同包括巴基斯坦在内的国际社会一道，坚定捍卫联合国宪章，坚守国际道义底线，坚持各国主权平等，共同来维护世界的和平与发展，共同来推动构建人类命运的共同体。
Swiss government says on Monday that it had decided to freeze any assets held in Switzerland by the deposed Venezuelan president or his associates with immediate effect. Bern said it had reached its decision after Maduro was seized in Caracas in a short U.S. operation and brought to New York. Describing the situation as a volatile one, the Swiss government said in a statement that it wanted to ensure that any illicitly acquired assets cannot be transferred out of Switzerland in the current situation. The government added that should future legal proceedings reveal that the funds were illicitly acquired, Switzerland will endeavor to ensure that they are sent back so that they are benefiting the Venezuelan people. Now, here's a look at the accusations against Maduro and the charges he faces. Maduro is charged alongside his wife, his son, and 3 others. He is indicted in 4 counts: narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. He is facing the same charges as in an earlier indictment brought against him in a Manhattan federal court in 2020. That was during President Trump's first term. Now, let's also take a look at some of the countries that the U.S. had bombed since the 1960s, as the U.S. warplanes continue operations across global hotspots from Syria to South America. Let's take a moment to look at some of the countries bombed by the U.S. since the 1960s and the lasting impact of decades of military intervention. We'll begin in the 1960s and 70s, Indochina era. In 1961, the U.S. provided air support during the failed Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba aimed at toppling Fidel Castro. From 1965 to 1973, the skies over Vietnam saw heavy U.S. bombing during the war through campaigns like Rolling Thunder and Linebacker 2. And between 1969 and 1973, Cambodia was secretly bombed under Operation Menu, targeting North Vietnamese and Khmer Rouge forces. In the 1980s and 1990s, the U.S. turned its focus to the Middle East and the Balkans, 1980s to the 90s. In 1987 and 1988, the U.S. strikes hit Iranian targets during Operation Praying Mantis. In 1998, Afghanistan was targeted with cruise missiles after the U.S. embassy bombings in East Africa. In 1999, a U.S. B-2 bomber mistakenly hit the Chinese embassy in Belgrade during the Kosovo conflict. Then came the 2000s. Through the 2020s, the War on Terror era. From 2001 to 2021, Afghanistan was under a continuous 20-year U.S. air campaign launched after 9/11. In Yemen, drone strikes began in 2002, continuing through 2025, shifting in recent years to target Houthi rebels. Iraq saw major strikes in 2003 during the invasion and again from 2014 as the fight against ISIS escalated. Between 2004 and 2018, Pakistan was hit by covert drone operations in tribal regions. Somalia has faced U.S. airstrikes from 2007 to the present, targeting al-Shabaab. In 2011, the U.S. joined NATO in bombing Libya during the uprising against Muammar Gaddafi. And in Syria, U.S. strikes began in 2014, initially targeting ISIS, then expanding to other militia groups. Most recently, in 2025 and 2026, a new operational theater has emerged. In 2025, the U.S. launched precision strikes on Iran, aiming to degrade nuclear military capabilities. That same year, in a joint effort with Nigeria, U.S. aircraft struck insurgent strongholds in northwest Nigeria. In 2026, U.S. forces carried out targeted airstrikes on military assets in Venezuela following regional tensions and threats to energy infrastructure. This timeline reflects how American air power has been used often controversially across the globe, shaping geopolitics, security, and public opinion for generations. I'm now being joined by Benjamin Bem Gong, International Relations and Diplomatic Affairs expert. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Mr. Gong, this situation right now, this Venezuelan situation, that's the latest one, but you've seen the time now we've gone through from 1960 till date. The U.S. has been involved in countries across the globe. But this Venezuelan situation, what does it say?
First, let me talk about the U.S. involvement across the world, summarizing it in two statements. United States, over the decades, has killed more people around the world than all of the First and Second World Wars put together. So the consequences have been quite devastating. But talking about Venezuela in specific terms, I think United States has hit the wrong person now. And some consequences you begin to see evolving. And certainly, I think much bigger lessons are going to come out of this. United States, let me say straight from the onset, that U.S. is not going to get away with this.
So when you say U.S. not going to get away, the U.S. has been like a global watchdog, watching every nation, their nuclear armament or weaponization, or as the case may be, even their economies. The U.S. has had interest in practically every country across the globe. Yet you say they're not going to get away with this. Who's going to hold them accountable?
It is that, when you say the U.S. has been the global watchdog, I think that's an understatement.
Too much?
That's giving America too much.
Really?
America is the terror of the world. I make no apologies about this. It's the terror of the world, not the watchdog. The watchdog should be one that brings peace to the world, that tries all that it can to bring peace amongst nations, among nationalities. The United States is doing the opposite, killing, like I've said earlier, killing and killing and killing. But who is going to hold America accountable? I can tell you that the world is not just going to watch. The era of direct physical colonization is over. America is not going to go into Venezuela like Trump has declared, bomb, take away this guy, and then rule Venezuela, take his oil. I mean, how defiant could a leader be? I think there's something wrong somewhere. A lot of countries.
But
You must have had. Let me just finish.
Okay.
You must have had. You must have seen global response. Countries around the world, countries around the globe are saying, "Look, the condemned
But if you
in
want to
very
look at,
emphatic terms."
if you want to look at it from the countries that have reacted,
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard from China. We've heard
That-
from
that-
Iran.
that's where I was
Well,
coming.
we've heard from China. We've heard from Iran. We've also heard from Switzerland. Now, if you look at this, Iran and China have ties with Venezuela.
Very close ties.
Good.
In fact,
But
Venezuela,
we've had-
China boasts of
we've also
over
had-
$100 billion worth of investment in
And
the Venezuelan oil economy alone.
Hold on, but we've heard from France,
Yeah.
right? Branding Maduro a criminal. We've also heard from Switzerland saying whatever funds, we're freezing every asset of his. And then when we find out over time that the reason these assets are here, they were illegally acquired, they will be reverted back to the Venezuelan people. So we've mentioned 4 countries here, 2 for, 2 against.
Yeah.
And yet you say that the US is a terror. But there are some who are saying that what the US is doing, I mean, it is believed that Maduro lost the last election but does not want to leave office.
Yeah. So the best
Can
way-
you just chew on this? We'll take a moment.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Yeah.
Please stay with us. Welcome back. We still have Mr. Bem Gong here in the studio, and we're talking about the Maduro-Venezuela situation with the U.S. Well, the update coming in has it that Nicolás Maduro has declined any bail condition. He doesn't want bail. That's the latest we have. So before I enter that book, we're talking about the reactions of the different countries. 2 for, 2 against. And we have Iran, we have China, and we know they have relations with Venezuela. We know France is there, and then Switzerland. But we also know that France also buys Venezuelan oil. So in chewing on this, what do you think is the situation?
Don't miss out the big boy in Russia.
We have not. Russia hasn't really come out to say anything.
No,
yet.
they
Or
have.
they?
Go,
Earlier.
check it out. They have. And the Russians are not just saying something. The Russians are also mobilizing their militaries, ready to strike America direct hit. So the Russians are speaking even far more vocal than those who are.
But is that not giving credence to the major reason why some will say America invaded Venezuela? In the sense that Venezuela, in terms of airstrikes, nuclear airstrikes or missile strikes, Venezuela is the nearest country to the US.
Yeah.
So if that area is opened up, Russia, China, and Iran can hit the US faster than any other nation through there. So isn't that considered the reason why America was okay, no, let's protect ourselves and ensure that someone who's there is our ally?
Let me tell you something. Trump speaks through the files, through intelligent files that America sometimes hides from the rest of the world for years. Trump is speaking through the files. The reason for invading Venezuela is not Maduro. Certainly not. Because if the reason for attacking Venezuela were Maduro, as Americans are making us, some people are making us to believe, you've taken out Maduro. Self-custody back to the United States, already charged him to court and the rest of it. That should have ended. But Trump went ahead to declare openly, unequivocally, that we're going to rule Venezuela. We're going to take their oil to the benefit of Americans and perhaps leave some crumbs to the Venezuelans. Who does that, Minister, in the 21st century? It's unbelievable. It's the height of insanity. There's no way those who have interest in Venezuela will allow that go. Don't forget, Venezuela has oil deposits, almost more than that of America. And
the largest oil deposit.
Deposit. More than America
even gold as well.
Saudi put together.
Yes.
That is what America is eyeing.
Okay.
That is what is in their security.
It's not, you think it's not their security?
No, it's not about security. It's not about...
Mr. Gum, I'm afraid we have to leave it here. Mr. Benjamin
That is what
Bembo,
America is eyeing.
thank you so much. International Relations and Diplomatic Affairs expert. Thank you for coming in this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We look forward to bringing us back here. This conversation, we must have it in depth.
It's a very wide conversation.
A wide conversation.
But I promise you one thing.
Yes.
America will not get away with this.
All right.
Watch how the next 1-2 weeks will evolve.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Gunn. Thank you for coming once again.
Yeah.